Greetings and welcome back to my channel. Today you see me at a different spot because for today's video I'm going to need my table because we will do the first console cleaning video on this channel. Today we start with our old friend, the Nintendo 64. Let's go. Okay, so let's do this. A few words in advance. I try to use, I know that there are plenty of cleaning videos out there from professionals who use all kinds of special equipment. My goal is to um, provide a nice result with products you can just buy at your local stores, almost anyway. If you got your console from a flea market or from eBay, you might want to consider to wear thin rubber gloves for this because it can get quite disgusting what you can find in those consoles. Uh, Starting from dead insects, hair, skin, spider webs. Maybe you should wear gloves for that. My console shouldn't be this dirty. I cleaned it years ago, but I keep my consoles uh, in a plastic box all the time if I don't use them. But I will want to show you guys the cleaning process I do anyway. Uh, to the top left, you can see some of the products I'm going to use. Let's just start. Okay, the N64. Of course, the goal is to separate the plastic parts from the metal and circuit parts so we can clean them. First, take off this lid here from the expansion pack. Take out the expansion pack. If you don't have the necessary tool from Nintendo anymore, you can also just get it out with a screwdriver and put it aside. On the bottom, there is also the lid of the expansion port. Put that aside. So now on the bottom there are one, two, three, four, five screws, and with all Nintendo consoles, these are Nintendo Game Bit screws. So you can't buy those in the hardware store. You have to buy them online. But it's a very cheap purchase. I think mine cost 16 euros, and it comes with a bigger one for the consoles and a smaller one for the cartridges. So let's open this up. I use an ice cube tray to sort my screws. Those plastic feet also to the side. Unfortunately, those screwdrivers aren't magnetic, but maybe I should look it up if there are better ones out there. This, of course, is a PAL N64, but the insides. Oops, sorry about that. It's the last one here in the middle. Okay. I use the magnetic function of the other screwdriver to just pull the screws out. Okay, so we remove them, turn the console around, and just take the lid off. Here you have your N64 console and the lid. Let's put the console aside for a moment and focus on the lid. These here are the buttons. You can squeeze it together here and just push them out like that. The power switch as well, same process. And now the lid. Those are normal Phillips head screws, two, one here, one on this side of the and one on this side. Just get them out. These consoles, especially in consoles like the PlayStation 2 or the GameCube, there can be various types of screws in there. So you might want to have a method of organizing them so you just don't mix them up. So you can take this part off, and now the gray lid part. And now you have just a piece of plastic. Um, maybe collect all the plastic parts and just put them aside for now, because of course we need the final plastic part, the bottom of the console. Put that aside for later. Now the console itself. We have one screw here. Okay. One screw here. Two little screws beside the expansion port. One screw here. One here on the heat shield. Two screws on each side of the cartridge port. One screw here. Also on the heat shield. Two screws by the ports, the power port. Those have a different color and a different length. One, two, one, two. And we have a lot of screws on here on the heat shield. Thanks Nintendo for that. So we start. These are all Phillips head, by the way. We start getting those screws out. I start here on the top on this big heat shield. Get them all out. So I removed those screws on the heat shield up here. Let's continue with these ones. And they are all different. You have to be careful with that. There are two golden ones, two black ones, and two brass colored ones. Let's get rid of those. Those brass colored ones have a different head and different length, so be careful to not mix them up. So The two black ones are left. Get those out. Okay. The heat shield comes off. Put that aside. Now, we need to get those screws out, I said before, beneath the heat shield, on the borders of the heat shield. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mm. These cartridge consoles normally, they usually don't fail. You can see how long this screw is. So a different type again, besides the cartridge slot. These cartridge consoles usually don't die. They have no moving parts. It's just you plug the game directly into the motherboard. So if your console is failing, it might be the chances are high it's just dirty or the cartridge slot is something in there, something like that. And with the cleaning, you can really get your console to work again. You re Is this a different one? No, no. Just has a slightly different color, but it's the same length and the same screw head. And the last one here. Only a few screws left, I promise. There are still two here besides the expansion port, and two each on the sides of this power port and AV out ports. So get those out. Sorry when my hands get in the way, but there is no good way of taking out all those screws and not getting the hands in the way. So now we got all the screws out in the back, and the last ones beside, as I said, beside the expansion port. Not the expansion port, the port for the expansion pack. These are long, thin screws. Okay, now the console should come right out. This is all there is inside. Just the motherboard within a metal shell. The bottom. Here you can get this piece of plastic out. The this screw holder things, metal screw holder things. Two, another piece of plastic from the back from the AV out port. Put that aside to the other plastic parts. And now we are at the bottom. It's just a piece of plastic. So before we get to this part, uh, collect all the plastic parts you've got, take them to the sink, wash them with soapy water with no toothbrush to get in all those holes and to get into all those parts, and then let it sit somewhere and let it air dry. You can, if you want, you can use a few paper towels, but uh, I can't stress this enough. Do not put the console back together if it's still moist. You don't want any water in there, or it can damage your system. Leave it air dry for at least a day, so it gets completely dry. Okay. So while my excuse me for the noise, while my plastic parts are sitting somewhere drying, uh, let's look at the other parts. This heat shield part, you can wash that under the sink as well if you like. It's just a bar of metal. Let's continue with this. The, the metal heat shield should come right off because we took all the screws out. The bottom one and also the top one should come off. Oh, I forgot that. There is a little metal piece here by between the controller ports. Be aware of that. And then and another one. And now that the top heat shield comes off. So like with the metal part before, you can wash those under the sink as well if you like, and put them aside to let it air dry. And now here you have your whole N64. The motherboard, as you can see, mine is not dirty at all. But when I opened it up for the first time, there were lots of hair and dust in it. Even it's not a CD console with moving parts. It just happens there that dust and dirt is getting in there. So the first thing you want to do is use compressed air to get as much dust out of the motherboard as you possibly can. There are a few methods for that. Some people use cans of compressed air you can buy. Real professionals have a little, not vacuum, a little air blowing apparatus that blows a constant stream of air into it. Uh, Years ago, I bought this thing, this strange looking thing. I call it my blimp. It, I bought it I think on eBay, and it was listed as photo equipment. And you can see the long, you can push it to get air out of it. And because of the long tip in the front, you can really get a really powerful stream of air out of that. And until now, it was totally fine for cleaning my consoles. So you just get over in the port. Sorry if that's a little loud on the mic. On the bottom as well. I don't know how you could see that on camera, but there was a chunk of dust flying out. Okay, so then to actually clean the circuit parts. I don't do that here on this channel. You would need pure alcohol for that. That would be the best method. But for cleaning a little bit at the board where they are not directly on the chips, you and in the ports, if you have problems with the controller ports, you can use a window cleaning solution of all things, like this one. It's just a standard window cleaning solution. You might ask why? Because window cleaning solutions usually dry a lot faster than standard cleaning solutions. So we take Q-tips and a little cleaning solution, and you can then just here rub it across the board. You can see a little bit of dirt coming out off of it, and with the dry side, you can clean it. You can dry it off immediately. You can also, as I said, if you have troubles with a controller port, you can put a little cleaning solution on it, and then directly add into the ports here. And dry it off immediately with the dry side. You can do that all over the board, not just, as I said, not just directly at the chip parts. Okay, then I make a cut here and wait for my other parts to get dry. And then we put the thing back together, the first few steps. And when it's in when the circuit is in the bottom half, as when I put it back in the bottom half, excuse me, then I show you how to clean the cartridge slot. Here, by the way, here's also the power switch. You can try if it still works fine. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, the plastic is completely dry. Be careful in those screw holes and little corners of this plastic. There can still be water in there. Be absolutely sure that there is no moisture at all in there left before you put it back together. Okay, so now let's begin to assemble it. We start with those screw prong things, one here and one here. They they fit only one way. And now we get the motherboard here, and we need to apply the metal shielding. Excuse me about the noise. First, the bottom part. You can align it with the expansion port here. And there it's back together. And the top part you can align here with the power switch. And there you go. You have it back together. Before we put it back into the plastic shell, we need to get the power LED plastic thing and put it back in here like that. And the the back piece of plastic by the AV port, because later it won't fit anymore. So now put it back in, and the AV port has to, you have to be careful that this AV port goes right into the plastic as it's intended. Maybe it's better to do this here like that. Just stick it on here and then put it into the plastic like that. It all fits. So now what we do next, we have metal parts left. This one, we put it back in like this. No, I made a mistake. We first need the little metal part and put it in here. Did go in right here. And then the other part on top of it, like so. Now we can put back the screws in, all screws around the heat shield and the ports, the cartridge port. But for the moment, don't put in the screws up here and down here. So let's do that. And start with the longer ones, those brass colored long ones. Those were beside the cartridge port. When we put those, when we secured the heat shield and the ports, then I'll show you how I clean the cartridge port. 1, 2. Then there are silver ones that go beside the EV port here. 1, 2. And the other 2 silver ones beside the power port. Here in the back. Like so. And we can also put back in already those screws beside the expansion pack port. Those were those long thin ones. One and the second one. Okay. So now we continue with, as I said, the screws on this side, 1, 2, and 3, and on this side, 1 and 2. Let's put those back in. Then the heat shield is and the ports are secured, and we can start cleaning the cartridge port. Nintendo consoles, there are usually a lot of screws and a lot of different screws. The N64 is not an exception here, it's also in the GameCube. Sega consoles usually built have not that many screws in them, they are built easier. So the last one on the top left here. Okay, now we do the cleaning of the cartridge port. For that, there are different methods for that. Um, Now there are online you can buy cartridge cleaning kits, but those are quite expensive. You can use trick methods with like the felt cloth credit card method, where you wrap a credit card in felt cloth and then stick it into the cartridge port. But for me, I think that's a little clunky and uh, the results are not great at all. I prefer to use an actual game for that. Every one of us has a game laying around the who and we don't care as much about it. But that's not a problem at all because the game doesn't get damaged through this process. So I use Extreme G here, and we get a Q-tip. We apply a Q-tip. We apply again a little of window cleaning solution on it, and we put it into the onto the contacts of the game, and then we stick it into the port a few times. Then use the dry side of the Q-tip to get the dirt off the game. And you repeat the process 2 or 3 times, and the cartridge port should be way cleaner after that. Okay, you can do the same, by the way, with the expansion port in the front up here. Same thing. Then we continue to put it back together. We need this big metal part, and don't know if how well you can see it on camera, but it needs to go under here, under this little metal part, and you can align it by the screw points. It should look like this. And then we need to put back in this, well, those 1, 2, 3. Let's start with the screws up here on this little part and down here to the right. This should be this screw down here. There is no screw on the left here, strangely enough. Then at the top, we need the black screws on the 2 holes here in the middle. No. With all those screws, it's very do yourself a favor and use a magnetic screwdriver. Second one, and now those really strange looking ones. Can you see that? They have an extra metal plate uh, around. They go here on top. One and two. Okay. Now we need to put in all those, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws here on the top. Okay, those screws are all back in. We have 2 screws left for the lid, and this the Nintendo Game Bit screws for the console outside. Okay, let's put it away for a second and get the lid, the feet out of the way, and the other plastic parts. You will probably cleaned as well, those little parts. Okay, now we have the lid here. We need to insert the plastic cartridge bay. Only goes basically one way, fits only one way, and it's secured with 2 screws. Just a moment, I forgot to, though this can happen, I forgot to put back in the actual lid. Let's see. This one like that. It's the wrong one. Here's this side, and this is the other side. Because the length of the gray parts here at both ends are different. So again, it fits just one way, like that. And now you put the tray in. You can keep one thumb here and then try it out. It works. So now we can secure it with the screws. One side and the other side. Okay. Cartridge lids are back in. The buttons. We have here the power switch, which goes, we just insert from the top and push down, and it should slide right back in. It also works. Same with the reset button. Just push it in from the top. Okay, the lid is back together. Now we can put the console back together. Get the bottom part. The lid should fit back on. We have no screws left besides the ones for the outside. So those feet put back into place. And put the screws back in. Therefore, of course, we need the Nintendo Game Bit screwdriver again. So to the left, and the last one here in the front. We can put the lid of the expansion port back on. We can insert the expansion pack and take into this. So the console is back together, but we are not done yet. Now, if you have under the sink, when you clean the console and you have scuff marks maybe in the plastic or little cuts, something like that, that won't come off under the sink because they are too deep, you can use another product for that. Uh, those are so-called uh, dirt dirt rubbers. Basically, I can show you the box. It's in German, of course. Basically, this is the product. This is like a sponge, but it's also quite a very fine sandpaper, and you make it a little wet, and then you rub it across the console, and those scuff marks or little scratches should come off. Of course, do that when the console is still apart. Um, you need to be very careful with this though, because it will also remove logos and stuff. So just use it carefully. And now, as you can see, my console has already a little shine to it, and it looks quite good. But we can improve that even further. We need a product also, I think it's available all around the world. Maybe the name is a little different. Here it is called Pronto. It's for all kinds of surfaces. It brings a nice shine to all kinds of stuff. We can use it on the console. This is a foam type of thing. So get yourself a paper towel, spray a little of it on the paper towel, and you can rub it on the console, all sides. So continue to do that around all sides, of course. And I don't know if how well you can see that on camera. It brings a real nice shine to the console, and it basically looks like brand new, like you put it like you got it down from the shelf in 1996. Okay, just for a bonus, let's open up the game, put the console to the side. I will do a separate video on cleaning of the controllers, but the game I will include in here. Basically, you do the same as I showed before when I cleaned the cartridge port of the console, but just it's easier when the game is opened up. If you want to really clean it, you need the thinner one of the Nintendo Game Bits, and it has two screws on the back. Open this one up, and this one. and the game should come apart. There are two Phillips screws in here on both sides, two little ones. Games on the inside can look quite different. So the process is basically the same as cleaning the motherboard of the console. Just get the heat shield off. The circuit out and the other heat shield. The plastic you can clean under the sink with soapy water, and the metal parts as well if you want to, but put them together when they're dry. And this is the game Extreme G. Oh, there's a little plastic part on there. This is the actual game. And like before, just clean it with compressed air and with Q-tips and cleaning solution on the contacts. Mine are very shiny and not dirty at all, so I don't need to do that. And put the game back together. So that was the console cleaning video of the Nintendo 64. I hope it was informative for you. Please leave a comment, like the video, and consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you guys soon. Bye.